But sometimes, like with this Israel-Palestine genocide going on, it's not just history, it changes the whole of our perspective about power and who's got it and what it does and what it can get away with, despite, I'll say, most people being horrified by the situation. And it's scary, not just
Yeah, it
scary because of
is.
people dying, but scary because they are getting away with it, and they will get away with it, and they won't go to prison unless the whole system changes. But that's going to take longer than that. So here's hoping that the system's massive European courts and the people, the judges who sit above all the European Union, all that stuff, can do something about it, have got the power, and whether the power of someone like Netanyahu can override that is for the rest of us to witness and wonder.
Mm-hmm. I'm Colin Burrows, and this is the Woodstein Media Podcast, episode 31. This podcast is produced on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Anishinaabe, and Odawa peoples. On this podcast, I shoot the shit with Dick Lucas, singer of the legendary UK bands Subhumans, Culture Shock, and Citizen Fish. He's been mixing punk, ska, and reggae music with his political thoughts for about 45 years now, and he's showing no signs of stopping. This podcast and Woodstein Media are independently produced journalism that you can support through Patreon or by donating through PayPal at Wood-stein.ca. That's WOOD-STEIN.ca. If you support this podcast through Patreon, you'll get advanced video viewing of the interviews for these episodes and other bonuses depending on the tier you choose. Also, if you're enjoying this podcast, you can support it by listening to more episodes and liking, sharing, subscribing, or reviewing them. This is very helpful and appreciated. Kicking off this episode, this is Us Fish Must Swim Together by Subhumans, to give you a little taste of Dick's work. a lot of my listeners won't know like a citizen fish from a subhuman, so they may
Right.
not even be aware of you. But then again,
Okay, so
there will be
it's not a this is not like a punk rock show in
no,
particular.
no. I love punk
Is it
rock, so
is it more music entertainment or more chat and words of
um
wisdom?
words of wisdom maybe.
Excellent.
I mean, sometimes episodes are completely about like the war on drugs is big here right now, so I've done quite a few about,
uh,
the drug poisoning crisis and things like that. So it's not all music, it's whoever happens to want to talk to me. And
Sounds
like,
pretty free and easy.
yeah, exactly. Let's jump right into it. As I was saying, some listeners won't know a subhuman from a citizen fish. So, could I just get you to introduce yourself as you would like to be known?
Right. Hi, folks. My name's Dick. Like it or not, I'm over here in England. I'm a singer. I've been a singer in three bands, four actually. The main three being the Subhumans and Culture Shock and Citizen Fish, who between them play a mixture of punk and reggae and ska, all with a political slant. I write the lyrics, I sing the songs, and here I am live on Canadian air, which is probably cleaner than British air. But there you go.
I hope so, but
Yeah, it's very likely. You got more of it.
yeah, we had a pretty bad summer for it last year with all the
Really.
wildfires here. So this may be more specific to the subhumans, but both Culture Shock and Citizen Fish have been around a long time now. So I'm interested in the ideas behind the writing and singing for over 40 years. And how does it feel that some of those old songs are still relevant?
Ideally, it's a shame that they're still relevant. You'd think after 40 years, some of the things I'm singing about might have got better or changed. Several things have got worse. The only thing that has changed, not the only thing, but the one that comes to my mind first that has changed for the better over the years is the nature of food and the way that almost everyone now knows what a vegan is. Whereas 40 years ago, vegan sounded like something from outer space. There are vegan shelves, sections in supermarkets. You don't have to like scour the local 20-mile radius to find anything that's not got meat in it. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, not a vegan. I was vegetarian in 83 or something like that. And finding anything to eat that was vegetarian and resembled food, like wasn't salad, basically, was really hard to find and expensive to pay for when you did find it. It was tricky. And now it's like on the shelves in supermarkets. And because, oh, they're just co-opting the movement. No, they're not co-opting it. They've co-opted the movement the same way they co-opt everything else that we buy because we can't grow it ourselves. So let's face it, if it's in there, it's better than not being there whatsoever. The whole idea of not eating meat is now like a general publicly accepted stance on diet. And that is a major improvement over the last 4 years. I can't think of many others. Like animal welfare generally has gone down. There's more wars. There's way more pollution, or any semblance of trust in politics has disappeared completely. There's, oddly enough, there's less rioting, which is oddly supposed to be a good thing because there's less damage to buildings and stuff like that. But on the other hand, the expression of anger and despair that causes riots, that anger and despair is still there, but people are venting by signing petitions online. And that's not quite the same thing. It hasn't got the same effect. That liberating effect, as short-lived as it may be, does boost communities as well as do the physical damage to buildings and shop windows and that sort of thing. The community knows it's together in their point of view for whatever they're right about at the time. I'm not just talking about rioting involving communities, but communities in general fare better without all this digitalization of their social lives that's going on. When I mean, the amount of pubs over here that's closed down in the last 10, 15 years, it's like, what, about 60, 70% of pubs are closed. The business ran out, taxes went up, Brexit and all that. But mostly people just stayed in, socialized online, couldn't afford to drink anymore because of the tax. The pubs are empty, as far as I know, because I don't go in them anymore. Nightclubs have taken off instead of pubs. It's all the quiet relaxation and meeting and chatting with people that's gone missing. You can't meet and chat quietly with somebody in a rave nightclub, and you could do that in the pub. I'm banging on about pubs now. How long is this interview? Like, oh, only got 2 seconds left. Well, shit, missed all the good bits. I'm sorry, I wonder what the question was in the first place. This way I am over and over again. I tend to zoom off on tangents. Oh yeah, about the songs still being relevant. Yes, horribly so. So how I feel about it is a bit not disappointing because it's almost predictable it would get worse. Singing songs like the actual song "It's Going to Get Worse" was just like, yeah, shove this, because like on the radio, like, don't worry, be happy, and I'm like, yeah, right, give me a break. I mean, yeah, nice idea, but no, don't tell me to be happy right now because I'm not too happy inside. And like, you don't know me. Don't tell the world to be happy because A, B, C, and they're all going on across the planet, and everyone's oblivious to it. Obviously, not everyone, but every generalization has a statement like that. Most people are totally unaware of anything to do with politics and the environment. A lot of people, it's not so much they don't care, it's just they don't know how to care or what to do about it. And they've got to earn the money they get, and they've got to do this and they've got to do that because of the nature of the structured society we're in. And they haven't got the time, energy, or understanding, or even the facts to go on to make them into more rebellious citizens. They wouldn't know what to do if they were rebellious if they knew the facts. They can't go to the mainstream media to get these facts because they're just not there. You've got to dig. You've got to dig less further because, what do you know, the joys of the internet. Digitalization of information means that everyone can actually go out there and find everything if they want to. But if their only dealings with the information systems around us is to glance at the headlines on the tabloid newspapers on their way to work every morning, whether they buy it or not, it's just like, oh, there's the headlines, and oh, that's happening, that must be true. They're not taking it in. Now, I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody, that's just my opinion over years of watching people generally, and I'm sick of shit when it comes to actually knowing all these people, as most people are. We don't know the people we're talking about most of the time, just the way it is because the amount of people there are. But the way society runs and the way politicians have conned so many people into voting, in this case over here, for the Tory party in 2019, Boris Johnson, that was just a complete fucking con. Anyone with half a brain cell could see. It's just like wordplay and mind play. And people fell for it because of what they're saying in the papers about Jeremy Corbyn, yada, yada, yada. The press has got a lot of power, more power than the politicians. Yeah, so that's how I feel.
Okay. From the Subhumans Religious Wars EP, that was it's going to get worse. And in that, assuming we gain wisdom and life is a learning process, are there any songs you look back on, not necessarily with regret, but in a new light, thinking you would have wrote them differently or perhaps not at all?
Well, you see, I don't actually study my own songs,
Okay.
and I've never done the exercise of looking back at them and wondering if I could have expressed it better. I guess if I have done, I've just written another song more or less on the same angle. But I don't really work like that. It's like what's written. If it's okay when I write it, then it's okay to sing. And once it's sung and it's done, and then it's on record, then it's definitely done. And there might be a few words that can be changed for better words. But I'm not really ashamed of any of the songs that have ended up on the records.
Okay. That's great. I think you've got an amazing discography to look back on that,
Well, thank you.
I wouldn't be ashamed of.
I mean, like, if I actually did look at all my songs now and go through all the lyrics, I could come back to you with a more constructive answer that might say, actually, this song, that song, that song, on reflection, are a bit like naive or, simplistic.
Yeah.
Probably would. But, hey, they are a product of when they were done, written, sung, recorded, and out there. Whether it was like last week or 24 years ago, whatever. Times move on, and your brain patterns evolve about things, and we're not all stuck in our teenage punk rock years beyond the extent of liking the music we started off with. The mind evolves, obviously.
Yeah, or I would hope it does. And some people,
and it gets more and more difficult to write songs once your mind has evolved. That's the tricky bit, is finding the thing. Okay, there's just so many angles. Like, I want to write a whole bunch of songs about the state of Palestine and Israel at the moment, but the subject is massive. It's not 4 verses and 2 choruses long. It's like huge. Anyway, you'll find out if that ever comes to being. But I generally tend to write songs that don't mention names or get too specific about events because they last longer as songs. Politicians do eventually come and go. Names change, parties change, politics change. But sometimes, like with this Israel-Palestine genocide going on, it's not just history, it changes the whole of our perspective about power and who's got it and what it does and what it can get away with, despite, I'll say, most people being horrified by the situation. And it's scary. Not just scary because people are dying, but scary because they are getting away with it, and they will get away with it, and they won't go to prison unless the whole system changes. But that's going to take longer than that. So here's hoping that the system's massive European courts and the judges who sit above all the European Union, all that stuff, can do something about it, have got the power, and whether the power of someone like Netanyahu can override that is for the rest of us to witness and wonder.
You brought it up yourself. I was because media is a subject I've noticed you bringing up in a lot of your interviews that I've seen, and it's something that I've worked in, and I have my own complaints from having been a part of it, especially like being assigned assignments which are essentially PR for terrible corporations, where that they're doing one thing with this hand, but they're planting trees, meanwhile they're giving
ripping down the forest.
Yeah, and they're investing your money into oil companies and things like that. So and you were talking about it a little bit, just us shooting the shit here, because neither of us probably have the real answer. Where can people go for better information than, the corporate media is giving us?
Look, and you will find, I think, is a short answer to that one. There's plenty of people, especially on Instagram and I guess what used to be Twitter. I'm not on it myself, but I'm on Instagram. I check out people. There's a lot of people I follow there giving background stories to what gets declared in the headlines. And they're making a lot of sense. And a lot of the comments from people are giving me the impression that, you know, we're not the only ones fighting against the obvious enslavement of humanity by the powers that be, etc., etc. So the type of media, if you've got an inquiring mind, you will find people supplying not only questions but also answers as to back you up in your suspicions that something actually is going wrong, and gives you a background to what you just saw on the news or read in the paper. There's a whole bunch of stuff underneath that to various depths, and that can be found on the internet. So hooray for the internet, as well as fuck the internet. I mean, I'm in two minds about it completely. I mean, it's there. All my songs about media used to be about the television, which the old style, laptop. And I wonder how many years, unless it's already arrived, before the time comes when kids under 10 won't know what a television actually is. Never mind. Yeah, television is just like surface level stuff, most of it. And occasionally you get a program like Panorama or something where there'd be a serious documentary about the nature of the power behind the actions we read about 6 months ago, what was really going on with corporations or news corporations or government figures, or even like the royal family. It would take things politically deeper down into a subject, and most of it very, frighteningly realistic and depressing and annoying and, what's the word, irritating, angrifying, I was going to say. That should be a word, angrifying. I'm angrified. But if they were just occasional, you had to look out for them. They were like once every 2 months or something. And the rest of the stuff, just horrible, useless stuff. This is why radio is better than television, because you have to get it all down into words. You can't pause for another picture of a boat or a wall or a shop or a picture of a picture or a glass blowing in the mountain scenery because a bomb went off in Switzerland or whatever. You have to use the words to fill the space where the pictures are. And the pictures is what dumbs people down more. They can hear in somebody's voice whether they mean it or don't mean it, whether they're just making it up, whether it's just like rubbish, bluff, PR stuff, for instance. That's not the word I was thinking of. That's what I'm saying. Words carry more importance when they're on the radio than when they're interspersed with loads of pictures around them like they are on television. Okay. So, yeah, the media, it's useful, it's informative, but it's also full of crap and just lightweight so-called entertainment to keep the masses dredged out of an evening before they go back to work 9 to 5 in the morning. And the jobs have got to be done, but there's better ways of doing jobs than the spare time between the jobs. So much waste of free time. Libraries are closing down. No one's reading books anymore. I haven't got time to read books because I'm looking at you and the internet and answering emails. But I've got plenty of books I haven't read. At least I've got that. At least I can read.
Interview that didn't go too well. He wanted to know my political views, my taste in bed as well. I only came because the rules got changed. I said, just take me on. 6 months of me for you is free, and when I'm done, I'm gone. This work, it doesn't work for me. I'm paying to get off my knees. And then it got spontaneous. My job is yours, he cried. I wasted breath and sick to death of all these suits and ties. Life is on repeat until 65 and rising. I'm told exactly what to tell, and none of it's surprising. This work, it doesn't work for me. I'm paying to get off my knees. But where's the choice when the loudest voice cries growth at any cost? The greed machine needs poverty to show what can be lost. Whoever doesn't want to work should work with those who share the experience of the real expense of learning not to care. And there is some forgotten room that is forever open. The poor and disillusioned trading styles of desperation. One will work to stay alive.
That bouncy number was Doesn't Work For Me by Culture Shock. Each of Dick's bands has a Bandcamp page. Check the description wherever you are streaming this podcast to find out more information about where you can get the band's albums. Well, in your spare time, I was fascinated by, on your Instagram, the balancing rocks and all that. It, compared to everything else, your mind's always buzzing. That seems very zen, especially compared to your frenetic performances. Like, you're into your 60s and you're still bouncing around whenever I see you.
It's all about the balance between the bouncing and the zen-like nature of stillness. And I think psychologically it probably does me good. I enjoy doing it. We were staying at a mate's place near Nottingham, and he had this balancing trick where you get two forks, the tines of which get wrapped around each other. That's right. And a matchstick. So this is where we need television because it's very visual, this bit. The two forks jammed together are approximately 100 degrees apart, with a matchstick inserted into the center of those, inside those tines as well. So you've got two forks holding themselves together and a matchstick sticking out at the back. So it looks like a bird flying along. You then balance the end of that matchstick on a bottle or a glass or any surface. And because of the nature of the center of gravity, because the forks are like 100 degrees from each other, imagine 90 degrees, but a bit more than that, the ends of the forks, the whole weight of the forks, most of their weight is around the center of the glass. The matchstick on the edge of the glass is in the center of gravity. So it stays there. And it's like, it looks amazing. It looks totally, you've got these two forks hanging in midair on a matchstick, and it just looks impossible. And it was possible. That started me off on this whole balancing thing, just like getting center of gravity and moving stuff around. And there's some balancers on Instagram, for instance. Oh, by the way, I think Instagram is great for pictures. And I paint as well. So get the paintings up there. Wordage on Instagram, if you really want it. But mostly pictures of pictures. And of course, stone balancing, this should be TV. It's where we need to see pictures of actual things I've balanced, but never mind. And it's not just stones. Favorite one was a chair in a bottle, and then on that chair, which was like tilted on one leg in the bottle, there was a teddy bear sat on the chair, and a candle in a candlestick on one of the sides of the chair at the back, just all hanging there. Bowl, chair with a teddy bear on it, nice decoration, that, and a candle on the back. Was it a bowl? There's another bowl. Yeah, not a candle. Anyway, if you can do that, and the thing is, how do you do that? And it's all about shapes. Like this, the top of a bottle is obviously a circle. Not all chairs do this, but most chairs have got like some sort of rectangular or square bottom of the leg. Some are round, but some are square. And the one I could do it with most easy was a kitchen chair where the legs were slightly tapered as they got down to the square bit at the bottom. And that just made a point where the chair could just balance on the inside that bottleneck. It can happen.
Okay.
People say, "Oh, it's magic. How do you do it? Superpowers, you're a witch." All this sort of stuff. No, give it a try. There was a girl on a boat. We were over in Bremen in Germany having a Bob festival. Bob being standing for Bath, where I live, Oakland, where other people live, and Bremen in Germany, where other people, it's all friends and band members who knew each other so well. We started a sort of festival annual thing. This year it was in Bremen. Well, last year it was in Bremen. And we were on a boat. There's a band playing on the one deck and on the back at the back of the drink. And I balanced an empty coffee cup on a little recess where a screw went in, holding the bench together. And this drunk girl came out and thought, "Oh, that's magic. That's amazing." I said, "You can do it too." I said, "Ah, yes, you can." And she was drunk enough to like forget all her inhibitions, or German enough to forget all her inhibitions, and just tried it. After 2 minutes, she'd done it as well. It's like, thank you. It can be done. Anyone can do it. Don't look at me for being some sort of wizardry rubbish. It's just like anyone can do it. Who needs patience? A lot of patience and non-shaky hands. And you're just about halfway there. And not all things can be balanced. There's a lot of, you realise within a couple of minutes that this is never, ever going to happen. But it's all about points where things meet.
Because
it is quite zen. Because when you get it, when you've done it and it stays there, it's just like it's a momentous feeling. You spent ages just trying to get it, and it's less than a millimeter difference one way or the other, and suddenly it's there. And some things will stay there for ages, and some will topple over pretty quickly.
And you've just got to flash that photo.
And you do need that. You do need to take that picture. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's in my notes. I was
back in 10 seconds.
All right.
There you go. That was 3 seconds. Go on, have a bit of tea, or is it coffee?
Me?
Yeah.
It was coffee. No, it's water. It's a hot.
Good answer. Here. All right. It was coffee. It's changed. That's magic, that is. I mean, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, you could.
Yes, you could. Go on, have a go. Go on. I need to be drunk first.
That's in my notes there. What fascinated me about that, the way I worded it, was that you seem to be balancing objects that might not be so willing to comply with your intentions in balancing.
Such as what?
I was looking at some of those rocks, and the shapes didn't seem to, from the photo, didn't look like they'd want to comply and balance, but you had them.
Oh,
balancing, like
those are the best
ones. Yeah,
because once you've balanced a rock on a rock, so to speak, or something quite complex, if you're at the seaside and you're on the beach, you've got the rocks balanced on the rocks, but wherever you are, you've then got several, if you like, you've got several angles from which to take the photo. So you do tend to take the photo from the angle where it looks most impossibly balanced, because it looks the best. The more impossible it looks, the better the photo. Similarly, if you're out at the sea, don't get a picture of balanced rocks with more rocks in the background. Go around the other side and get the sea or the sky, so the whole silhouette is lined up nice. Yeah, a good photo helps.
The lyrics of all your bands, there can be similarities in there, but I find as a listener, they have very different energy, all three bands. The big ones, I don't know whether you've done a lot of little ones in there too, but from like the punk rock intensity of the Subhumans through Culture Shock, and where you were getting reggae, ska in there, but then the way it all came together by the time you got to Citizen Fish with the strong ska infusion. Not to say any of the bands sound negative to me, but the later stuff, the Citizen Fish sounds, it pumps me up. It's got a positive kind of infusion, even if you're singing about the ills of the world. I can come out of it with a smile and feel energized. And
this is the power of music. The Subhumans music is, broadly speaking, angrier music, faster music, more powerful, some would say, in that terms of raw energy.
When the people of the country have forgotten how to disagree, the national economy is said to be okay. The wages that you get will help you to forget. Will you keep your ideologies or throw them all away? When the system has you beaten, even now you haven't eaten, cause you can't afford to eat or drink to keep your brain alive. Blame the system for the weather, carry on as ever. You go to work at 8:30 and come back home at 5. Talking about the human race, how they got around in space, but it never stopped the wars. The whole of this humanity is based on greed and vanity. The ones who make decisions are the ones who make the laws. But you're still in this society, so what's your main priority? Remain in the majority who never really cared, or cultivate the hate to annihilate the state. Are you prepared to die for your beliefs, or just to die your air? But can you prove that you exist to a population who insist you're just a bunch of fakes? You cannot change the system till you change your own restrictions. communication and conviction gotta kick until it breaks.
That was the Subhumans again with Work, Rest, Play, Die.
Culture Shock is way more rhythmic and mellowed out, you could say. Citizen Fish is a sort of a mixture of both. In a way, every band changes the sound, has a different sound because it's different people playing the instruments. The influences on the people playing the instruments is more or less the same, broadly speaking, punk rock, ska and reggae to various degrees. But yeah, the mixture of the members of the bands in the bands creates different dynamics of who does more invention, who has the more tunes, who's more pliable to play the same as being suggested, or would rather do this instead of that. It's the ebb and flow of creativity that has different dimensions and different dynamics in each band. And the other thing is, well, another thing might be as you get older, you get slightly less angry, or you want to balance out the anger with a bit of fun, because like we're all into punk and ska. We pretended not to like ska because we were punk rockers and we were like 17 or whatever. We just like ska rubbish in here, fucking mods. But then years later you hear that song again, like Too Much Pressure or whatever. It's like, yeah, this is actually really good, isn't it? And your mind broadens, and then you want to play different styles of music. And I was very lucky to be asked to play for what became Culture Shock about a month after the Subhumans had done their last things. And the nature of the singing changed just by dint of what the music sounded like. It was so much more rhythmic, so much more reggae scarish that the Subhumans had ever been. And it went from to there's like all this space to put words in. And I could say, dare I say, sing more than shout. It's a mixture. And like, yeah, you get old, you get better at whatever you're doing through repetition. And there was just more actual hitting the right notes sort of thing going on, and more space to sing it. It was much more, it was happier music, to be simplistic about it.
He knows me, he said he's only here where they find him a place to get his head down. Just need a few pounds. They sent a man round, took away his living space. It's a total disgrace to be going through hordes of waste of more than you could ever afford to have. Someone's having a laugh at the expense of living on the edge of the map. He's going downtown, it's like a fairground. I put your hat down, flat rate, penny for the guy. Prize every time, for the look in the eye. It took him ages between the wages paid things you'll never need again. They had a slim down, they had a whip round. I put your hat down, flat rate, penny for the guy. And if you ever wanna tell me something I've never known before, or show me a better place to go, I'll swap this less for more. Living the life that it couldn't ever happen to a nicer guy. It's safety first to just walk on by. When the bubbles burst, you're on the other side of the downtown. It's in your hometown. You better get round there with a cup of tea. And if you know him, ask where he's going. And if he's already gone, say goodbye from me.
That was another culture shock track, Penny for That Guy.
Citizen Fish had 3 ex-Subhumans in, me, Phil and Trotsky. The Fish music, perhaps as a result of that, is a bit spikier than Culture Shock. I wouldn't say less rhythmic, but overall the general speed of the sound and the sound of it is like a Subhuman ska band-ish. It is very hard to define bands and describe music, which is why music's so powerful, because it is mostly lying there beyond words. In order of describing what it is, you have to hear it, you know.
shooting things, they put it in a magazine. You must buy this, you won't believe it, you can't resist. It's how they feed it, just one more thing. Top up your basket, impulse buy on automatic, panic in the supermarket.
From the album Millennium Madness, that was Panic in the Supermarket by Citizen Fish.
So for anybody who actually don't know who the hell I'm talking about, please go and discover all Citizen Fish, Culture Shock and Subhumans music. Bandcamp is a good place to start. Quick advert.
No problem. I'll give you time later on to do even more of that. You want to get people moving over to your Bandcamp or whatever after this. Yeah, so really, you've been doing this over probably
Way too long, yeah.
45 years. Yeah. What keeps the fire stoked, and what does the future hold for Dick Lucas?
Oh, if I knew the answer to the second one, I probably wouldn't be here, would I? I mean, what keeps it going? Well, it's fun. I mean, it's the funnest thing. And if it feels a bit boring, just like, hang on, imagine going to the 9 to 5 job full of people you don't like or do like, just the same old thing, work for someone else, some corporation, and then halfway through that sentence, I'm like, quite. Okay, so just wait till we get to the gig. Then it all starts with work. You got to get out of the van. You know, you're traveling like 100 miles in a van. It's like, okay, whatever. But you get on stage, and that's the point where it all just makes sense and just is as good as it always is. And as long as it keeps being as good as it always is, then why stop? As long as people keep turning up. If nobody turned up, we'd be messed up, you know. But it's an ideal occupation, if that's the word for it. It's like a hobby, wanting to do something, realization that became just extended and is still going on. There was never any plan, you know, to do this when I was fucking 16. I've got a badge. You can't see it. The listeners can't see this. It says 63. I got it made up the other day. Cost me £2. Someone had a badge machine. So I cut out a circle of paper a circle of paper with yellow and red, half and half. And the red number's 63 from another bit of the same newspaper. Put them together with a bit of glue. Bam, bam, won the 63 badge. If you're going to be 63 and embarrassed about getting old, then you've got to look a bit more upwards and that sort of thing. So I'll let you know, young man, that when you hit 63, best you do, get a badge that says so. You know, all these like I am 7 badges, they sell loads of them. There's none of these on the market. Gap in the market. This is it. So if the band falls through, nobody turns out to our gigs anymore, I'm going to start making age badges from anyone over 49, say. Good starting point.
All right.
All the way up to 120. I mean, middle-age crisis.
I just heard my son listening to something, and I think you're maxing it out at the right point, because the science behind aging, it's almost impossible for our cells to keep generating healthily past 120. So stopping at 120 for your buttons.
Yeah, I think
that's perfect.
I think I've done everything I want to do by the time I'm 118, quite honestly. Those 2 extra years will be just, you know, lying around waiting.
Okay, is there anything else we didn't talk about that you really want to get out there? Any message to the world? Anything going on right now that
either this is obviously not really, to be quite honest. In interviews, I'm totally in receive and answer mode, and that works a treat. And then when the question comes up, anything else you want to add, it's been the standard last question of fanzine interviews for decades. Anything you'd like to add? By the time you get to the end of that, you're like, I don't know, I'm just answering questions here. That's the weird thing. If you ask me a question about anything you like, I could answer it. But given the choice to talk about anything, I don't presume upon myself to be anybody with any specific knowledge that I can share that is new and original. And I wouldn't know where to start about whatever topic there is. That's the way that goes. So no is a short answer, but I need to back that up with that slightly longer answer.
That works.
I mean, we could talk about politics, the world, elephants, trees, you name it. But for all the issues there are in the world, first thing we've got to do is look after each other. I don't want to sound like a hippie. Be nice to each other, help each other, and stop being assholes because it seems to be the best thing to do to make more money. Yeah.
Right. The older I get, the more I accept that sometimes I sound like a hippie. So,
yeah, but the hippies had it well sussed out, really, compared to every other movement there's been. The punks were slagging off hippies, and most of the punks had hippie parents anyway. You know what I mean? Looking back on it now, yeah, those guys who drove us around when none of us could drive us to gigs, they were hippies. They just like looked a bit smarter these days. They had all the ideas: peace, love, understanding. The music was iffy, but you know, a lot of other music was way worse than that. And like, yeah, a lot of them OD'd on daft drugs and went around dancing naked. I wouldn't do it myself, but whatever. Freedom of expression. They had the right ideas, and it all fizzled out into whatever. Fizzled out into the 70s. We all knew what that was like. Well, not all of us, because it's 2024. Oh well. But
Well,
yeah, as you get
even
older,
the
you get more accepting that people are more the same than you think, and everyone else isn't a bunch of idiots and assholes, or
Yeah.
you know, we're not the just because we're posts, we're not the best people on the planet, really. We just like to think we are, but a lot of other people like to think they're the best people on the planet as well. It's called a paranoid inclusivity, and it protects us from the rest of the world. And as you get older, you don't need protecting so much because you've got more sense about what the world's really actually fucking like, and so things start to relax a bit more, and you can get angry, but there's more people get angry at the same point. It's not just a little exclusive bunch of you being angry against the rest of the world, because thinking like that makes you into a little elitist clique. You don't change anything, you make more non-friends than friends. That's pointless doing that. But as you get older, or hopefully before you get older, by listening to old gits like me on the radio now and again, you're going to think like, well, maybe things, starting to think in more constructive ways about the way things are working around you at an earlier age than a lot of other people have done in the past. Knowledge is way important. Also, most of our brain evolves and stops evolving round about up from the years 0 to 12. Everything that comes into our heads before puberty is probably something to do with it, is the basic pattern for the rest of our lives. So if you've got kids, which you obviously have, make sure before they're 12, if they're not already, that they know everything they can possibly know about art, creativity, music, love, life, understanding, tolerance, and looking after each other before they hit puberty and become selfish teenagers and grow up and be selfish adults who want to make a load of money and buy new suits. It's the only way out of it. It's the younger generations.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant point to end on. So
okay. What was the question? Yeah, right.
I don't even remember, but yeah. Thanks a lot for taking the time out to talk to me, and
yeah, of course.
Hopefully, I know you Subhumans are in Toronto for
August
something.
the 18th.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll be there. Maybe I can say hi to you in person at that.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of Nofx's last ever tours. And we're doing about 3 of those gigs, shows, whatever, because they asked us to. And Fat might put out a couple of Sits and Fish things and a Subhumans live album, so there's a connection. And he's a good chap. And they asked us to, and why not? It's nice in Toronto.
Yeah, I hope to get to that, but if I don't, thanks again for doing this.
Everything we do on a personal scale, taking we to mean everyone who ever existed, is the basis for everything wrong in this world. And of course, everything right as well, but the list of wrongs that offends the soul, like the chance of being killed before we get old, it's far, far longer than the list of rights. Yeah, falling in love won't stop the war. Falling in love won't stop the war. Falling in love won't stop the war, but 18 other people may start some more. For making all the wrong decisions, which are just the same as ours, but we haven't got that power that enforces domination. So we take out our frustration on the weaker opposition, reinforce our egotism in our small-scale wars on the disco floors against the man next door. Oh, falling in love won't stop the war. Falling in love won't stop the war. Falling in love won't stop the war, but 18 other people I might start some more. science, small scale war. Premier television, small scale war. Premier education, small scale war. Cost of living and inflation, small scale war. But the basis for everything wrong in this world is the way the people behave. Or when you scorn the system but fight each other, you're behaving exactly the same. If we thought a bit more before starting the war, then maybe the structure would change. Sooner or later, falling in love won't stop the war. Falling in love won't stop the war. Falling in love won't stop the war. But like in other people, may start some. Falling in love won't stop the war. Falling in love won't stop the war. But like in other people, may start some more.
Citizen Fish capped the show off with Small Scale Wars. Thanks for listening, and thanks again to Dick Lucas for the interview. In the description, wherever you are streaming this episode, you can find links to the Bandcamp sites for Subhumans, Citizen Fish, and Culture Shock. Visit Wood-stein.ca. That's WOOD-STEIN.ca. You can support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Colin Burrows. There are bonus videos and more for people who support through Patreon. Like, share, comment, follow, and support Woodstein Media and this podcast, and have a wonderful day.
Reminders are very useful.
Yeah, I find that, and you've got 10 years on me, so I'm finding I'm already hitting an age where reminders are extremely useful. So
there's nothing about the 50s that's cliched. Have you noticed that yet? Like life begins at 40, so that's the 40s dealt with, right? And you retire at 60, yeah, right. But there's nothing said about the 50s, the age group of the 50s at all. So you should feel fairly free for the next 10 or how many years you've got left in your 50s. It's a free decade, free thinking decade.
All right. Well, I'm going to make use of that.
And you hit 60 and start panicking. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, no problem. Now I've got to go, but thanks again.
That's cool.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good luck. See you again.
All right. Thanks.